6:48. The Morris Minor, the Mini Metro and the Vauxhall Chevette. They're all examples of the classic British motor.
Now a new attraction is opening in Derbyshire featuring 100 cars from 100 years of British car manufacturing.
It looks great.
The man who gets the treat today is John Maguire. Good morning, John.
Yeah, morning, Dan. This is a real drive down memory lane, I can tell you. These cars are just extraordinary. Look at that, the Ford Granada, made famous by the Sweeney, Jack Regan. Remember him? John Thor used to drive one of those. This part of the exhibition is the 70s and the 80s, the Vauxhalls and the Fords. And the thing that really strikes me about this area are the colours. Just take a look at the advertising too. Unashamedly sexist back then. You might get wolf whistles from the car next door. Let's come up through the TR7, a much maligned vehicle, but I still think the lines are beautiful to this day. And talking about the colour, look at that. MGB V8, that colour, tundra green. Could you imagine designing a car these days that's that colour? But this is one of my favourite cars in the exhibition. This, the last MG Metro to roll off the production line, and it was my very first car. Have a look inside. Red seat belts, red trim, the MG badge on the steering wheel, and red carpets. Can you imagine how cool I thought I was when I had one of these? You wander around and the years, and in my case the decades, just fall away.
Sir Herbert Austin, as he now was, decided to put motoring within the reach of all. And the baby Austin, one of the most famous cars in the world, was born. So small that comedians made jokes about it.
The great British car journey starts here in the 1920s with the Austin 7, a scaled-down version of the company's normal cars. It was affordable and very drivable. This one belonged to a nurse in the home counties. If you'd called the midwife, she could have arrived in this.
Austin had come to mean quality and value.
And the advertising was unashamedly aspirational. The exhibition moves up through the decades and charts the boom and the bust of the British motor. It's not about the fastest or the most expensive, it's about the everyday and the cars that everyone drove, with the dawning of the transport revolution that was mass ownership.
And the journey really is the history of popular motoring and popular car manufacturing in the UK. So our hero cars are not exotic, they are right in front of me, the Mini, the most popular car ever made in Britain.
Big day for the little one. This is the 2 millionth Mini in company with some of those who helped make the pint-sized people car into an international achievement.
These are the cars that ordinary people drove. You know, they're not the supercars that survived. These cars have disappeared. I think, you know, even the Ford Cortina, when I was, you know, in my 30s, every street had a Ford Cortina on it. And when you see one now, you go, wow, it's a Ford Cortina. That's what we're doing. We're bringing these cars back to life, back to attention of, you know, the many millions of people that actually drove them.
But this isn't just the story of a major part of British industry and the people who worked in it. It's your story too.
My mum had one of these, a Mini Clubman Estate. We used to take our Great Dane dog, Fred, to the vets. He'd stand up in the back and push his head forwards right to the front of the windscreen, in between you and the passenger. This is a Triumph Spitfire 1500. I bought one of these. It was in a terrible state, fixed it all up, took it out for my first drive, and I got crashed into. The Ford Fiesta XR2. I've been upside down in one of these when my mate Steve rolled it into a ditch.
So what is it about these cars that captures the imagination? Steph has her own YouTube channel, using digital to share her love of this analogue world.
Why are you into cars like these instead of something modern, reliable, fuel efficient, safe?
Well, I think some people will recoil in horror when they hear this, but I have never owned a modern car, so I've been used to disappointment from the word go. That's a joke. Honestly, they've been great. It's an experience. Even if you're only going to the local supermarket, it's a pleasure to drive, it's characterful. We're now moving towards cars that drive themselves, taking you even further away from the joy of driving. Whereas with this, you still get that joy of driving, and you're so much more in tune with what's going on with the car. So you really understand. You hear a noise, you hear something maybe go bing, and you know what's going on, or you certainly know what you need to be checking when you get under that bonnet.
All of the cars here run, as you can find out for yourself.
One of the unique features about the attraction is that you're actually able to drive some of the cars that are here. My advice would be, choose something that suits your personality. cart.
In a world of high-tech SUVs and permanent four-wheel drive, travelling on just 3 feels liberating.
Lovely jubbly.
The exhibition is multi-sensory. You're surrounded by the sights, sounds and smells of years gone by. The memories come flooding back of happy and sometimes, frankly, terrible days out on the great open road.
Clearly, at some stage, someone in the British Leyland boardroom thought it was a good idea to give cars Italian names. The Maestro, the Allegro. Metro there, obviously, Hillman Imp, Morris Minor. That's one of the special 1 millionth, one to be built. The Mini and the Austin 7. Some of these cars that you can actually drive yourself. Luke Henshaw, come out and have a chat with us. You might notice something about Luke. He's a darn sight younger than I am. Luke, you're just 17, you're a mechanic here. What do you love about these cars?
It's just how rewarding they are to work on. They're such a simplistic kind of they're so simple to work on, and when you do kind of work your way through them methodically and you kind of get a really nice rewarding result about them, and the parts that are on them you kind of renew them rather than replace them, whereas modern cars you kind of buy, replace, you know, I mean, buy things and buy things, whereas here it's about simplistic kind of simple motoring, a bit like it was back in the day really when you fixed it at home with your dad or with your mum. Yeah. That kind of idea really. So
none of these cars here were built
no, very few of them.
during your lifetime, apart from one, I think. There are flash cars here. There is a McLaren and there's a Lotus and there's Rollers and Bentleys and stuff like that, but we're focusing on these because it's just the stuff that people can relate to. You did a specialist course, didn't you, to learn how to maintain older cars?
Yeah, I do. I go to Brooklands Museum and there's a place there called the Flight Shed where I work with the Heritage Skills Academy, and I learn about a more specific kind of specialised work. So you learn about carburetors instead of, you know, just fuel injection like modern stuff. So you learn about your old stuff specifics so that you can apply it when you get back to here, and you can work with Mark, like I say, the workshop technician, workshop manager, and you know, his knowledge and everything all combined, and you end up taking skills that were now kind of forgotten and lost sort of thing into the future and bring them to newer generations. So.
And you're doing up a car yourself. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I've got a 1972 Manta A series, an Opel. And you know, that's kind of like my ongoing little project that I'm kind of applying the knowledge I'm learning to as well. So you know, it gives me a little chance to practice what I'm learning. So.
Good for you. What's your favourite car here?
Probably either the TR6 or the GT6 because they're just so perfect, and they look so original and nice, and such a cool design. And you know, with a straight 6 in them, they're super nice car. So
great stuff.
So, yeah.
Luke, thanks very much indeed. All the best. When's your driving test?
September 21st. So.
Good luck with that.
Thank you very much.
All right, good to see you, Luke. I'm just going to take one for a spin. It's got to be the Allegro, isn't it? Gosh, one of the most perhaps unfairly maligned cars of all time. Look at the colour of this thing. I'm not even sure where to begin to describe it. What is it? Lime green? I'm sure there are a few rude ways that you could describe it as well, this colour of green. Let's fire up the raw power. Oh yeah, listen to that. Join us later. Come on then, see what the Allegro can do.
You can't hear us anymore. I think I'm matching the car to my suit today.
What a superstar Luke is, by the way.
Absolutely. I love that there's so much about all of that I absolutely loved. Do get in touch with us if you're feeling nostalgic. We were all the way through. We're talking about all the different cars.
We both had a Rover Metro.
Finally,
at various points,
something in common.
Yeah, there you go. We'd love to see your pictures of your first car. I'm sure that has tickled your nostalgia buttons and made you think about a car that you might have owned in your past.
I love the stories we've both been telling about our Metros as well. I mean, it's just... I think we all got, you know, there's so much nostalgia around your first car, isn't there? And how much they've changed.
Exactly, yeah. You can email us bbcbreakfast@bbc.co.uk or get in contact on Twitter or Facebook this morning.
Right now, let's get the news, the travel and the weather, wherever you're watching.